I'm Michael Wallenfels from ArtSWA, the Washington State Arts Commission, and I'm joined by my colleagues Shannon Halberstadt and Lynn Fetch at the Department of Commerce, who will answer your questions in the Q&A box. What does the Department of Commerce do? They strengthen communities. Some of the things they do are help with housing homelessness, infrastructure, business assistance, energy, planning, community facilities, crime victims and public safety, and community services. Much more than just granting, but we are here today to talk about some very important grants. Our agenda for this presentation, we will do program overviews of both the Working Washington Grants Round 5 and Convention Center Grants programs. We will talk about eligibility criteria for both, the application requirements, the review considerations, the Technical Support Center, the general timeline for both grants, and additional resources. Let's talk about Working Washington Grants Round 5. $70 million was allotted by the legislature for Working Washington Grants Round 5. Of the $70 million, 60% is directed to eligible businesses and nonprofit organizations in the arts, heritage, and science sectors, including those that operate live entertainment venues. The other 40% goes to most other sectors. This includes hospitality, fitness, taxis, and personal services. The awards for these grants max out at $75,000. And a snapshot view of it is this program offers one-time grants to small for-profit and nonprofit businesses and organizations that have experienced financial hardship due to the COVID-19 pandemic and related public health measures. What are the requirements for eligibility for Working Washington Grants Round 5? The basics are you need to be an active for-profit or nonprofit business or organization. You need to have a UBI or EIN number. You need to be physically located in Washington State, and you need to have been in operation prior to January 1st of 2021. Regarding finances for eligibility, you need to be able to show financial hardship because of the pandemic. You need to have not reported more than $5 million in income in 2019 and had at least a revenue of $10,000 in 2019 and 2020. And that revenue, at least 51% of it needs to have been generated in Washington State. Some other considerations, these funds cannot be used to pay other government fees or taxes. So this says you cannot have necessary business costs or expenses that are not government fees or taxes. You need to have not permanently closed or do not intend to permanently close in 2022. And you need to follow all COVID-19 health requirements. There's one more thing that we'd like to say about Working Washington Round 5. You can only apply for one business. If you have multiple businesses, please apply for your largest or your most impacted business. Who is ineligible to apply for Working Washington Grants Round 5? Multinational corporations, childcare providers, not including recreation or entertainment, schools such as preschool through kindergarten, kindergarten through 12th grade and higher education, public libraries, science companies, including research and or development laboratories or services in science manufacturing. And what I'll say quickly here is when we said science sector earlier as part of the designated target group for this grant, think more like science centers or maker spaces. Other ineligible entities include professional services, such as accounting, insurance, legal, financial services and firms and architects, hospitals or healthcare providers, including dentists or chiropractors. However, personal services such as massage are eligible. Property management and real estate, including owners and operators of short-term rental properties. Hosts and operators of a vacation or short-term rental unit, such as Airbnb or VRBO. Licensed marijuana, cannabis operations. This does not include CBT retailers. Drivers of shared ride companies, such as Lyft or Uber. However, independent taxi and limo services are eligible. Third-party delivery drivers, such as Amazon or DoorDash, government entities or elected officials, businesses that have permanently closed or intend to close permanently in 2022, passive businesses, investment companies, and investors who file a Schedule E on their personal tax returns. Carrying on, financial businesses primarily engaged in the business of lending, such as banks, finance companies, or factoring company. Businesses this is a repeat businesses that have permanently closed or intend to close in 22. Businesses engaged in any socially undesirable activity or activity that may be considered predatory in nature, such as rent-to-own businesses and check cashing businesses. Businesses of a prurient sexual nature, such as adult businesses, speculative businesses, businesses primarily engaged in political or lobbying activities, businesses without a physical location in Washington state, businesses that restrict patronage for any reason other than capacity or age restrictions per regulations. Any business that's found to be in violation of any COVID-19 related order issued by the governor. This includes remaining open when ordered to close or disregarding COVID-19 health or safety measures applicable to that business. Businesses found to have compliance or regulatory issues as of March 2020. Businesses that are actively engaged in current or pending lawsuits, businesses disbarred by the federal government, or businesses actively pursuing a bankruptcy declaration. Let's talk about the Convention Center Grants Program. The legislature allotted $5 million to the Convention Center Grants Program. For this grant, eligible applicants must show proof that at least 25% of their revenue is created in part by conventions hosted in Washington state. So don't think of the Washington State Convention Center, but think about all the businesses and vendors that depend on the activity of conventions that happen in those places. The awards for this grant go up to $500,000. In a snapshot view, this program offers one-time emergency relief grants to for-profit and nonprofit businesses and organizations that are dependent on the economic activity created through conventions hosted in Washington state. What are the requirements for eligibility for the Convention Center grants? The basics are, and these are very similar to the Working Washington Grants Round 5 program, you need to be an active for-profit or nonprofit business or organization, have a UBI or EIN number. You need to have hosted an in-person convention or depended on the function of a convention to sell goods or services. You need to have canceled a convention or experienced a reduction in participants in 2020 or 2021. And you need financial documents from 2019, 2020, and 2021. For the finances, you need to be able to show financial hardship because of the pandemic. You need to have made more than 25% of your revenue from convention center activity. You did not report more than 100 million in income in 2019 and had a revenue of at least 10,000 in 2019. And that revenue, at least 51% needs to have been generated in Washington state. Are the considerations? Again, like Working Washington Grants Round 5, you cannot use these funds to pay for other government fees or taxes. You need to have not permanently closed or intend to permanently close in 2022. You need to follow all COVID-19 health requirements. And like for Working Washington Grants Round 5, we encourage that applicants must apply for one business only, and those with multiple businesses should apply on behalf of their largest or most impacted business. Who is ineligible to apply for the Convention Center grants? Businesses that make less than 25% of their annual revenue from convention center activities, trade shows or exhibitions, or professionally exclusive conventions, conferences, or summits, multinational corporations, childcare providers, not including recreation and entertainment, school, such as pre-K, kindergarten through 12th grade and higher education, public libraries, science companies, including research and or development laboratory or services and science manufacturing, professional services such as accounting, insurance, legal, financial services and firms and architects, hospital and healthcare providers, including dentists and chiropractors, but like Working Washington Grants Round 5, professional services such as massage are eligible. Property management or real estate, including owners or operators of short-term rental properties, hosts or operators of a vacation or short-term rental unit like Airbnb or VRBO, licensed marijuana, cannabis operations. This does not include CBD retailers. Drivers of shared ride companies such as Lyft or Uber. However, independent taxi and limo services are eligible. Third-party delivery drivers such as Amazon and DoorDash are not eligible. Neither are government entities or elected officials in their offices, passive businesses, investment companies, and investors who file a Schedule E on their personal tax returns. Carrying on, financial businesses primarily engaged in the business of lending, such as banks, finance companies, or factoring companies. Businesses that have permanently closed or intend to permanently close in 2022. Businesses engaged in any socially undesirable activity or activity that may be considered predatory in nature, such as rent-to-own businesses and check cashing businesses. Businesses of a prurient sexual nature, such as adult businesses. Speculative businesses. Businesses primarily engaged in political or lobbying activities. Businesses without a physical location in Washington State. Businesses that restrict patronage for any reason other than capacity or age restrictions per regulations. Businesses that have been found to be in violation of any COVID-19 related order issued by the governor. This includes remaining open when ordered to close or disregarding COVID-19 health or safety measures applicable to that business. Also ineligible, businesses found to have compliance or regulatory issues as of March 2020, businesses that are actively engaged in current or pending lawsuits, businesses disbarred by the federal government, and lastly, businesses actively pursuing a bankruptcy declaration. What will you need to apply to the Working Washington Grants Round 5 program and the Convention Center Grants program? To apply, you will need an active Washington State Unified Business Identifier, also known as a UBI number. This can be a business license, business registration, tax registration. An employee identification number, the EIN, if applicable. The slide reads is, but please understand this as if applicable. A unique entity identifier, the UEI number. A valid government issued photo ID of a business owner or the authorized nonprofit representative. That we will ask for identity verification of the applicant. You will need annual business revenues from 2019, 2020, and 2021. Please note that businesses established in 2020 need only input 2020 and 2021 revenues for Working Washington Grants Round 5. However, 2019 revenues are required for the Convention Center Grant Program. What will you need to upload? You will need to be able to upload a valid government issued photo ID of the business owner or an authorized nonprofit representative. If applicable, the verification of a tribal member-owned business, such as license or registration from a federally recognized tribe in Washington State. Financial documentation from 2019, 2020, and 2021 showing gross annual business revenues. Please note that businesses established in 2020 need only upload 2020 and 2021 financial documents for Working Washington Round 5. However, 2019 financial documents are required for the Convention Center Grant Program. What kind of financial documents can you upload? Applicable financial documents may include one or more of the following: the IRS Form 1040 for sole proprietors, and the following: Schedule C, profit and loss from business. Other forms include the IRS Form 1065, the partnership return. No K-1s are required for this. The IRS Form 1120, corporation return. No schedules are required for that. The IRS Form 1120S for S corporation returns. No K-1s required for that. The IRS Form 1099-MISC for independent contractors. The IRS Form 990, 990EZ, or 990N for nonprofits. And for fiscally sponsored nonprofits only, the profit loss statement. What will be considered when the application is reviewed? They will consider the reduction in revenue or activity between 2019 and 2020. For the Convention Center grant applications, they may also consider the size of the business measured by 2019 revenue and reduction in revenue from 2019 compared to 2020 or 2021. They'll consider recent Working Washington grants you have received, for-profit and nonprofit businesses that operate in a distressed area and or are owned by someone from a historically disadvantaged or underserved population. Consideration may be given to business owners who self-identify as a minority, veteran, LGBTQ+, or women. For eligible nonprofit businesses, their mission must provide support or services to underserved or underrepresented communities. Consideration may be given to eligible applicants whose physical businesses is located in one of the 15 identified counties identified as distressed. This includes Clallam, Jefferson, Grays Harbor, Mason, Pacific, Waikiakum, Lewis, Cowlitz, Yakima, Grant, Franklin, Okanagan, Ferry, Stevens, and Pend Oreille. What kind of technical support will be available? Starting on August 15th, we will have translated materials available in 15 languages: Spanish, Vietnamese, Russian, Ukrainian, Tagalog, Somali, Korean, Arabic, Punjabi, Amharic, Khmer, Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, Lao, and Marshallese. On August 17th, when the portal opens, we will have email and phone support in English, Spanish, Mandarin Chinese, and Russian. There will be a phone number you can call. Please note that if you call this number right now, you will not be able to get support. The support begins on August 17th, but the phone number will be 888-242-0169, and you can email at commercegrants@submittable.com. And we encourage all applicants to email for the quickest response. What are the general details about these programs? The partners are the Washington State Arts Commission, also known as ArtsWA, and Submittable. The program guidelines, eligibility criteria, and FAQs are all available at commercegrants.com. The general timeline, August 17th through September 9th, the application portal will be open and will remain open for 24 days. From mid to late September, the applications will be reviewed. And in early October, Commerce will begin to notify grantees and disperse the funding. So please know the application portals will open the morning of Wednesday, August 17th, 2022, and close Friday, September 9th, 2022 at 5:00 p.m. Pacific time. And that is a hard deadline. Where can you go to learn more? commercegrants.com is your home base for all the information. This is where you will go to submit your application between August 17th and September 9th of 2022, to read the frequently asked questions about both the Working Washington Grants Round 5 programs and Convention Center Grants programs, and get support in additional languages. sam.gov is where you will go to register for a UEI, and at arts.wa.gov/WWR5, you can sign up for email updates about these grant programs and download the free partner toolkit, which includes social media posts, newsletter example, a one-pager and talking points available in English, Spanish, Russian, and Chinese. Thank you, everybody. This presentation was put together by Lynn Fetch and Shannon Halberstadt at the Department of Commerce, and myself, Michael Wallenfels, the Communications Manager at ArtsWA.